All right, y'all. Are you ready to learn about simulation theory and God mode strategy? I definitely am. What's up, blue collar business owner? Welcome back to the Blue Collar Prosperity Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Masker, where we focus on helping guide you to have a prosperous business. Today, we have with us Trent Lowenstein. Trent, he's done it all. Former director at Nexstar, GM for a PE group, director and lead coach for Tommy Mello's Home Service Freedom Program, creator of the God Mode strategy for business. He's also owned an HVAC plumbing and electrical company. And now he's the future president of Next Level Pros. That is
Let's
Trent
go.
Lowenstein. Let's do this. Welcome, Trent. Thank you so much for being here. What's going on today?
Thanks, Paul. That's a really good intro. I appreciate it. Yes, I'm excited to share with you about simulation theory, about game theory, and especially about the God mode framework here that we teach at Next Level Pros. So it's
Awesome.
it's gonna be. I'm gonna tell you what. At the end of this 30 minutes, you're gonna say this is the absolute most unique product on the market, and it's gonna give you a completely different lens through which to view your business.
Awesome. Well, I am excited because I have no idea what simulation theory is, no idea what God mode strategy is. I don't play video games. And for the listeners out there, we also interviewed Chris Lee from Next Level Pros a few weeks ago on the show. He didn't talk about any of this, so I'm super excited about this. Before we jump into all that, Trent, though, how did you get to where are you today? How did your journey start? I know we mentioned a bunch of different things in your intro, but how did you end up where you are today?
So it's been a roller coaster. It's been a lot of fun. Nexstar was a good jumping off point to learn about the industry, HVAC, plumbing, and electric. We got to see how businesses grow through the use of ancillary strategic partners, and that was really interesting. Like the adoption of technology exponentially grows the revenue and the efficiency of companies, and I've really taken that to the next level when we when we started talking about the God mode framework, especially because technology is advancing at such a rapid pace, and the early adopters of technology are often the victors as far as business goes. So every experience I have, I just keep rolling in like, hey, this fits into my worldview of that we live in a simulation, that this isn't even the real world, and that everything from religion to politics to theology just fits into the narrative that this is a created, simulated reality and one in which we can win.
All right, let's do it. Let's jump into this. So, what's your take on this? I know a little bit about simulation theory as you started
All right,
talking there, but
what do you know about simulation theory?
the only thing I know is when I hear people talk about this, the whole world that we live in is not real and it's one big simulation and all that kind of stuff. So that's it. I haven't done any research. I haven't gone down any rabbit hole. I haven't asked Chat GPT to take me on a ride. So give me your take on it and how you're
Okay.
starting to implement that into Next Level Pros, and then we're gonna get into more stuff.
Okay, perfect. All right, you're gonna love this. Hold on, let me fix the chair to get ready here. Okay, so I'm gonna talk to you about game theory. Okay, so if you ever want to like ruin family game night, I want to tell you that there is a way to win Monopoly. Okay, there is a way to beat your kids so that they never get any properties, and that's essentially what game theory is. It's like a way to play the game for the most optimal outcome. Now, there are two different types of ways that you can play the game. You can play in a zero sum game where there's one winner and one loser. So chess, when it's not played absolutely perfectly, where it's a draw, right, is generally a zero sum game. There's one winner and one loser. Every move that I make in some way disadvantages your move. Okay. So that's one view, and it's a logic tree to get there. The other one is a non zero sum game, which promotes collaboration in the world. We both have to win in order for the game to win. Okay. So we believe that the simulation is based off of the non-zero sum game, where there could be multiple winners in a game, and there are some zero sum moves that you can make. But all in all, we have an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset. Okay. So you take the advent of technology and you say, okay, let's apply game theory logic to, you know, I had a Razor flip phone when I was in high school. Do you remember that?
Yep,
The Razor flip phone, that was like the
that was
cool,
super
most
cool. I
cutting
had
edge
one,
thing.
and it was
You know,
super
you
cool because it
it
lit
was in
up
all
on
the
the back when
commercials.
when you're talking on it. You thought you were
Yep, that's
cool.
right. That's right. All that stuff. Now, our kids, how old is your kid?
She'll be 9.
She'll be 9. Okay. Our kids, my kids, I have 4 kids, our kids are playing in virtual reality, right? They put
Yep.
on a VR headset and all of a sudden you're transformed into a new reality. So the advent of technology and the exponential growth of technology from the Razor phone to, let's just say, virtual reality, give it another 100 years, and that virtual reality will be indistinguishable from actual reality. Have you ever done VR?
Yes, I have.
Okay, what did you do? What did you play?
Whatever what is it, Meta? You can go like play sports
Yeah.
and stuff. So I think the Meta headset. So
Okay,
whatever
did you play like
golf.
what game? Oh, golf. Okay, cool. I play walkabout mini golf with my wife. That's how we date in VR. Um, but it's crazy. It's like it changes the entire landscape. So the idea that the progression of technology ends us up in a simulation. And there's a couple ways that you can play this simulation. You have NPCs, non-player characters, right? That's just the company. That's the guy that's you go to the clerk and you say, "Hey, I'm interested in buying A, B, and C." And he goes, "Oh, welcome in. Seems like the weather's nice. Sure, we have that." And he has a preset script. He can only stay in that script, right? And he's a slave to the game, right? He's a slave to the game. Just the way that you have NPCs, we say you have NPBs, non-player businesses. They're just slave to the rules of the game. Then you have player one. Player one has autonomy to operate within the framework of the game. They could move. It's you playing the game as the character in the game. But then we have the concept of God mode. And God mode is a video game term, which means that the entire rules of the game don't apply to you. You're not a player in the game, you're the architect of the game. So how that looks in business practice is you might be the GM of a company and you'll say, "Oh, well, our job costing is all down and we don't have any SOPs and I'm running around and I'm putting out these fires and this sucks and blah, 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 blah." But that's player one mentality. God mode mentality is, I'm the architect of this game. I created the rules and I can create any efficiency that I want because I'm the programmer, not the NPC, not the player. So
Wow.
that that's
Wow.
I know.
All right. Let's dive into that. So obviously you mentioned earlier we have to have that abundance mindset. So one, having that abundance mindset of, hey, there's enough out there for everybody. We're more than one it's not just win-lose, it could be win-win. But then also believing that you hear it all the time in the trades. I hear it every day. Well, that's just the way it is, right? We just say, well, that's just the
Right.
way it is. Our type of business just doesn't make money, or that's just the way it is. Nobody wants to work anymore, or that's just the way it is. Vendors keep raising their prices and I can't raise my prices. How
Right.
do we start to get in the God mode mindset of I can actually control the entire process that I operate within?
Yes. That's a great question. I'm glad you're in it. And before this, you said you didn't play video games, but I think you have a video game mindset. Uh,
Let's
the,
hear it.
okay. So the first step is to acknowledge that this reality, this simulation is a winnable game. The universe, or whatever you want to call it, the universe, the simulation wants you to win. It's not a zero-sum game. And in order to create the framework for the game, you have to have four key components. The first one is that you have to have a compelling story. Nobody is going to watch a movie or play a video game if the story is not phenomenal, right? So we have a joke that a lot of people play the trades version of the Mafia game, which is like the family business, the family business where it's like, okay, that's a tough game to play. There's a lot of moving parts. Everybody wants to play like the comeback kid story. We're playing a story where we want to empower our customers. This could be like a magical quest where if you're in solar, as an example, you want to save everybody from the utilities companies that are always racking up your bills, right? So the story has to be good, a compelling enough story where people want to play the game. The next piece is that you have to have strong evolution-based characters for your game. So you can have the right characters in the wrong game. As an example for the gamers out there, if you were playing Call of Duty, if that was the game, right? Highly militarized game, you wouldn't want to play as Mario, right?
Yeah.
That would be that would be an example of great game, wrong character for my game. And we're going to go deeper into that one. The next piece is that you have to have game mechanics. You have to have a framework for like how this game operates, how your characters interact with the game. And then, of course, you have to have a scoreboard because nobody's playing a video game or any game in a simulation if it's not winnable. So those are the frameworks for creating the world of the game. Now, I want to give you a really good example of how having characters, let me give you an example of some characters. In the difference between Clark Kent and Superman is what? Tell me the difference between Clark Kent and Superman.
Well, one is just a regular guy, and the other one's a superhero.
Okay, perfect. That go a little deeper with me. What are the characteristics of Clark Kent?
Uh, I don't know. I've never really watched Superman, but he's just like an ordinary dude, right? Just walking around the street, just being an average guy. And then
You've never
Superman.
watched Superman?
No, I've never watched Superman. Is that
Okay,
bad?
wow.
Superman can
Okay,
fly. Superman, he's indestructible. He's a hero. He can save
exactly.
people. He can do all these things.
So Superman never shows up as Clark Kent when he's in the game, right? Superman is not flying around with Clark Kent's problems. Superman is not flying around going, "Where did I put my keys?" You know, he's Superman. That's how he shows up in the game. So in your trades business, you say, well, how do I want my characters to show up in this game? Like you might have a problem at home, you know, your dog died, you have financial problems, you have a bad mindset, but when you show up in the game, you have to show up as Superman because that's how the game works, right? So if I told you as an example, you just imagine that you work for me at Next Level Pros and you're showing up late and I say, "Paul, man, you're always showing up late and it's ridiculous." And then you're going to say, "Well, I have all this stuff. I have all this family stuff," right? Because I'm saying you, Paul. But if we had a framework where I said, hey, Paul, the character that you're playing in this game can't function if you don't show up on time because your character is the thing that pushes these other characters forward, right? This is a non-zero sum game. It's collaborative. So do you think it's good for your character to be here at 9 a.m. so that you can get these guys going?
100%.
Now it's a different perspective, right? Because you could agree that your character in this game has to present differently than who you are in real life.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny you bring that up because I've trained plenty of technicians and even just in sales training in general at CSRs, service techs, anyone that's serving the customer, we'd always go through training of like, we've got to forget when we show up to work, we can't bring our personal problems into work, just like when we're playing sports, right? Like if the best athletes are worried about what's going on at home or in their personal life, they're not going to show up on the field and be the best version of
Exactly.
themselves while on the field. And you hear about the best athletes, like when Kobe walked through those gym doors, he had Mamba mentality, right? And like the whole mental aspect that they built around that of like, once you do that, you turn on that character. But I didn't
Yes.
play video games. I never knew God mode or simulation theory or any of that.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, so the four things, just for people listening that didn't write those down. So we have to have a compelling story. We need to have a strong evolution-based character that actually fits in the context of where we're playing. We have to have good game mechanics, and we have to have the scoreboard. We kind of talked about the characters. One of the things I want to dive into, and whether it's now or further in this conversation, is the scoreboard because I feel many people's scoreboard doesn't exist and their number one goal is just to survive the day, right?
Right.
Survive the day, survive the week, put out the fires. Before we know it, we've owned this business for 5 years and we haven't made progress. So
Right.
what does a scoreboard look like when building out this entire, framework that you guys work with at Next Level Pros and kind of implementing that all?
Absolutely. So the characters and the scoreboard are really tied. There's strong correlations between what the characters do as leading indicators and what the scoreboard has, which is the lagging indicators. As an example, a leading indicator is that you job cost appropriately, right? And that your material and your labor and your cogs are in line. And the lagging indicator is that you have a high net profit, right? So that would be the scoreboard. So when you take this into the simulation, you take that theme and you put it into the simulation, you say, how do my characters know if they're doing a good job in the game? And if you went into any shop, and I know you said you trained a lot of technicians and CSRs, if you were to go to a shop that you were training at and you ask them, hey, how do you know if you're doing a good job? Most people don't have like a quantifiable answer to that, right? It's
Yep.
very like, well, I'm super busy. I'm helping this guy and I'm helping that guy, but it's not like
I'm still
I need to have
employed.
this. I'm still right. Exactly. It's not like for your CSR. I have an 80% booking rate. I have this many outbound calls and I get this many reviews, right? They're not quantifiable metrics. And if you can't measure it, then the scoreboard can't measure it either. So the characters have to be accountable to something that they know that they're doing a good job, and so that their character has fulfillment in the game. And that's a big problem. You have a great story, we're a small family company, but then the characters don't know what they're doing. They're just doing work, but there's no way to measure their success. And if there's no way to measure their success, then when you get to the scoreboard, that shows.
So they're just the character wandering around the world all day,
Exactly.
but don't know what to do.
Exactly. And you know what? A lot of people in management, I think, feel that way.
For
There's a
sure.
lot of there's a lot of downtime when you're sitting there and you're like, okay, well, the guys are out on the field. What should I be working on? What am I doing to push this story forward, to push this game forward? And if there's not quantifiable metrics, then those people are just wanderers. Those are when player ones that have a lot of autonomy become NPCs, where they're just going through the day, and all of a sudden it's Friday, and then it's Monday before you know it.
Yeah, no, and when you put it that way, the number, like when we can measure our success, then we know when we are successful, right? Like when there
Yep.
is an actual scoreboard of like, if I achieve this, then I've achieved my goal and I go to the next level, whatever it is. How do I go from being an apprentice to an installer, to a service tech, to a field supervisor, to a service manager? When we don't have those measurables in place, we don't know if we're actually progressing through this game that we're talking about. So
Exactly. You
how do
got it.
you
So
how do you start to implement this? So you go to somebody, they hear Next Level Pros is great, and you start talking about this. What is their first reaction when it's like, wait, hold on. How are we going to get our guys to buy into this?
So we just did a couple hour podcast with one of our members who was in this exact situation. She had 3 locations. She was in debt. She took out HELOC loan, and now she's profitable and ready to dominate and open another location. And through the introduction of this GodMode framework, we asked her this very question: what was like your first reaction? And she said, I immediately felt powerful, because that's what it does. You're not a passenger in your business. You are the architect of your business. And so just imagine it's not the owner. Let's say it's a sales technician, and he's going out there with a really low close rate and a low average ticket. And just like a video game character or a baseball card, right? You have the picture of the character, and then you have some of their stats on the side. And you're like, wow, man, you are absolutely great at building rapport. People people like you, but you don't have product knowledge, and that product knowledge is inhibiting your close rate and ultimately your average ticket. So this is not a reflection of you, Paul, as a person, as the technician. What we want to do for your character is upload new programs and adjust your product knowledge by 10%. And so that could look like downloading, like, when have you seen The Matrix?
Yeah,
You remember when Neo's like, I don't know Kung Fu.
yeah,
And and then Morpheus is like, no, you do. And they upload the code into Neo's brain, and all of a sudden he knows Kung Fu, right?
yeah.
That's how we view trainings. So Jeremy Miner is an amazing guy, right? He's got such a cool program. He's got that tonality program. Uh, do you know who this is, right?
Yeah, yep.
Cool, cool. So his program is tonality. You don't want the cheap option, do you? You don't want the cheap option. That's my impression. Hopefully he's not offended. I love him. I think he's great. Um, so that's a program that the techs could use in order to build a different level of connection with the customer, right? We have the non-zero sum game program where techs go in there and they're not thinking, I have to win and I have to get this sale, and you, the customer, have to give me money and lose. If you believe in that zero-sum game, it's always going to be like, I beat the objection, right? I just overcame the objection. I won the objection, as opposed to a program that the characters use with a zero-sum game, and sorry, a non-zero-sum game, where they're saying, "Hey, listen, we have to collaborate to win. I don't want you to give me any money if you don't find value in this. So let me explain to you the value of the product and the value of the company. So the transfer of resources is worth it for you and me." It's a different program. And that's why, a lot of techs, I was thinking about this. You always get those guys that are like, I don't want to sell this product because I don't think it works or I don't believe in it. Right?
Yeah.
Have you had that? Like, I don't want to sell whatever it is. It never works.
Yep.
So in that mindset, that is a zero-sum mindset. That's I'm gonna sell this product, and if I sell it, I'm ripping off the
I
customer
win
because
and
I
they
don't
lose.
exactly. So then the program that you have to put in for the character is product knowledge. Maybe he doesn't have enough information about the product to feel comfortable selling it, right? It's not enough for the manager to say, sell this product. They have to believe it. And so at Next Level Pros, we have lots of case studies on different products or services or offerings that allow the character to upload the program so that they become an evangelical of what they're selling. There's no ambiguity. They have confidence. And that's an important piece for characters, like the character of the dentist. I've used this before, but the character of the dentist. When you go to the dentist, right, you think of a guy, a little overweight, a mustache, maybe going through a divorce. That's the that's the character of the dentist, right? But if hopefully, is anybody in your family a dentist?
No.
I didn't mean to. Okay, okay.
No, you're good.
Okay. So if the dentist comes in and he's wearing open-toed shoes and he just got finished smoking a cigarette and he says things like, "Well, this is the first time I'm seeing it," it's kind of like, "What? This is not what I thought." The character and the story don't go together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the characters have to be believable. They have to have no glitches. They have to have quantifiable metrics, and they have to want to be a part of the story that you're creating, the world that you're creating.
Love it. So this is super interesting, super powerful. With where you guys are at now, and
Yeah.
I want to get back to your intro. You're the future president of Next Level Pros. And
That's how I introduced myself. Yeah.
when we were talking about this before the show, what's behind that? You will be the president. But why do you like to introduce yourself as the future president of Next Level Pros? What's the mindset behind there?
The mindset is that this is a simulated reality. I'm player one. I'm willing it into existence. Um, and I want to play the game like, okay, so if that's my goal, that I want to be the president of Nexstar, of Next Level Pros, the future president, what do I have to do as this character to earn that level up? And that's how we introduce. It's not dissimilar to anything that we teach. If you're a level one tech, how do I become a level seven tech? What programs do I need to download? What new skills do I need to learn in order to take that home?
It's awesome. I love it. It makes sense. So as we implement this into our home service company, there's going to be technicians, there's going to be managers, there's going to be CSRs that just don't buy in, which then always gives other people hesitation of like, oh, I'm going to lose my best people, or oh, then I'm going to have to go recruit and I'm going to have to go find people. And that's too much work. I don't have time for that. What do you tell those people that when we implement this, yes, some people might quit, but your business, your life, everything is going to be that much better.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we have not had that experience.
Awesome.
This,
Even better.
this framework is meant to empower the players and meant to empower the managers by giving everybody the most amount of autonomy while they still play in the world that the architect creates. So if anything, you're never getting a manager who's saying, I'm running around like putting out fires all day, just like how you introed this. Now we're saying you are the most powerful character in this game. And the things that you could control are these three impact metrics, these quantifiable KPIs. And because you have the power to influence these things, that's your main focus. That's your quest. So one of the things that we do originally, other than, come to our workshops. We have amazing workshops on a quarterly basis. And we teach this framework so that everybody's bought into the idea of the GodMode framework, playing your business like a game. We also allow the characters to buy into the story. They're a part of the story. So like your service manager is not just the guy who shows up, who's always overwhelmed. He's the magician. He's the guy in the back with a treasure full of resources and gold, so that when the techs need something, he's got it in the bag. Right? It's just a new way to look at your business. And so one of the first things that we do is help companies world build. What is your story? And your story is, what's your values? What's your mission statement? What's your guiding principles? Why does somebody even want to play this game? The next question is, what do you want to measure? What is the scoreboard supposed to look like? And then what do you imagine your characters are doing? And does what the character's doing mirror what's being measured in the scoreboard, the leading and lagging indicators? And then, of course, what are the rules of the game? And those are all your SOPs, which Next Level Pros has lots of them.
Awesome. So as we wrap this up, Trent, talked about a lot of things. We want our listeners to take action. We want them to take action sooner rather than later. What's one thing anybody out there could do within the next 24 hours to start to move their business forward?
Okay. First of all, come learn about Next Level Pros. I'll give you the practical information, but I want to tell you that Next Level Pros has the absolute most unique product on the market. This is unlike anything that other best practice groups have. It's a new way to look at your business with real actionable tools that are both fun and powerful. So I'll just say that. Come check out Next Level Pros. The one thing that you could implement in your business today is, for the next 24 hours, don't imagine that you are a passenger in your business. Don't play as player one. If you're a business owner and you're struggling, understand that you have full autonomy over this game, that you are the architect of this game, and anything that you don't like, you could change immediately. So look at your business like a game, manipulate the roadblocks so that you have the outcome that you want.
Love it.
Play your business in God mode.
Be in God mode, guys. You can make it happen when you do realize that you are 100% in charge and you can change anything immediately, and you remove your ego, remove the emotions, and understand you do what's best for the business, what's best for your team, what's best for your customers. It'll make life a lot easier. Trent Lowenstein, thanks again for coming to the show, sharing all sorts of good stuff that I didn't even know existed, and providing actionable advice, wisdom, insight for all the blue collar business owners out there as we continue on this journey to prosperity. Before we sign off though, Trent, I know you said check out Next Level Pros. What's the best place to send them to keep in touch with you and learn more about Next Level Pros?
Yep. Go to gonextlevelpros.com. We do free consultation calls. Come learn about the program, learn about what we're doing. Go nextlevelpros.com. And you'll talk to one of our people on staff that, or me or Chris, that will lead you in the right direction. Separately, Paul, I can't wait to work with you. We have extended an invitation out to you to come to our partner event, and I hope you can make it for the next one.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Trent. Guys, go there. Go nextlevelpros.com. Look up Trent Lowenstein on social. Connect with him and get into God mode, y'all. Trent, thanks so much again for coming.
Thanks, Paul.
I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
See you later, brother.
All right,
Bye.
see ya. Bye. And before we go, as you know, there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to creating consistent positive cash flow. However, the journey starts with making sure you are priced right so you can have a growing and more profitable business. I've created a super easy to use pricing calculator for everyone in the trades. You will no longer have to guess what you should charge. You'll no longer have to call around your competition and see what they charge. This calculator is easy to use and will provide you confidence and clarity that you're actually priced right. It also comes with a step-by-step PDF guide and a video walkthrough. So head on over to thebluecollaradvisors.com/price. thebluecollaradvisors.com/price to download it today, and so you can start implementing it tomorrow. Until next time, remember, what got you here won't get you there. If you are ready for different results, it's time to start doing things differently.